Good afternoon. Welcome to the 6 p.m. council meeting, Ogden City Council meeting for May 3rd, 2022. Please let the record show that all council members are present. And I believe Council Chair Nadolski is joining us electronically. Is that correct? Chair Nadolski, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you for being here electronically with us.
Yep, thank you.
So our first order of action here will be our Pledge of Allegiance, and I have asked Councilmember Ritchie to help us with that.
Thank you. Would everyone please stand and give a proper hand salute? And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Ritchie. Can I please now ask you, for those who would like to join us in a moment of silence, please? Thank you. Next, we have with us the pleasure to have Congressman, Mr. Congressman Blake Moore, and we are going to turn the time over to him. Please, Congressman, if you'd like to come up. He has a legislative update that he would like to give to us. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Lopez. I'm here because of you. I loved our event out at the opening.
Thermo Fisher.
At a Thermo Fisher. My message there, and I just wanted to reiterate too, is a sincere thank you to all of you for creating such an awesome environment for companies to come and engage and innovate and build the community. We get through a lot of economic crazy times, which the last 2 years has been such. You've just seen our growth actually contract over the last quarter. That's not a good trend. We need to get that. Inflation's been really, really hard on people. But the environment that you all have created, the team that you have, from your economic development team to anybody that's involved in a lot of the DC work, has been interacting with us a lot. So I wanted to just do a couple quick things, but I will be remiss if I didn't mention, I didn't know that all of our first responders and our law enforcement was going to be here. Chief Young, the team here is amazing, and the ways that we've been able to interact has been awesome. So I just wanted to publicly thank you all for your service. It doesn't happen enough, and it's very much appreciated. So thank you. I wasn't expecting to see you all here tonight. And I know you're not here for me. And I know that I'm disrupting a lot of the business at hand, so I'll be very brief. But I just wanted to make another quick update on two different things. Some of the key projects that we're working on that we've submitted for. Now, there is no promise to any of these, so let me be very clear. There's no promise to any of them. There's a long legislative process to now go through in navigating this world. But some of the key priorities that we've put in place, and kind of we will continue to follow up on them and work with you all. Thanks for the effort to get them to us. Ogden Canyon Pathway, Weber Housing Authority, some affordable housing opportunities that look like it's a sustainable way to approach that. Ogden Airport Apron, and the Weber State Physician's Assistant Program. Those are specific things. We get a chance to lean into our communities in various capacity, and we have X number of submissions we can do on an annual basis. And these are things that we're excited about engaging with you all on. They lined up per the criteria involved. It's a whole bureaucratic mess to get through to be able to submit these, and all of the various stakeholders were awesome, providing letters of support and things like that. So I just wanted to kind of highlight those four particular things and let you know that we will keep you updated, and we'll help you navigate those as they come out. They're all awesome projects, and we'll see how they play out. There's no guarantees with any of this type of stuff, but getting them to this point, kudos to my awesome team back in Washington, particularly Paul Johnson, who heads this effort up. No easy task and a lot of hours that gets put into it. but this is what matters. This is the things that we can lean in, and we appreciate the help. I just left Hill Air Force Base for meetings this afternoon. I want you all to know that's a strong priority. It's an area that given my committee assignment, we can lean in and really support. And they're the key projects that are going on there. Obviously, the F-35 program, the GBSD, now Sentinel program, are all things that are driving job growth. Focus on our depot work here. I'm the co-chair of the Depot Caucus, just because it's so important to this particular area, and we're constantly leaning in on making sure that that's supported. The projects, as we've seen with what's taking place in Ukraine, these programs at Hill Air Force Base, they're not just about jobs here. Like, these are key things that drive our national security, and something that we should all take pride in. And it's an honor to be able to directly support those. So that's a lot of good work that's going on. That's the annual NDAA process, and we've put in those submissions. Locality pay is a problem, and it's tough to deal with, and we're working on it. It's a problem for lots of different areas, but we're doing everything that we can with respect to making sure that our across the board, airmen, pilots, civilians, that everybody can have what they need to be able to thrive. There's a whole 180-day supporting veteran workforce type of project that we're also working on. So I'm just spewing off a bunch of things just to let you know of the key things that we're focused on for this particular region. I'm available for questions. Don't ever hesitate to reach out. I don't want to take up any more time. I was mostly here just to be able to see Mayor Caldwell in a tie, and that's nice to see that can happen every once in a while. And let me pause there. Is there any initial questions I can address? I don't expect to take much more of your time. You can always reach out to us. Always good. I'll take that as a no, and I'll finish up my remarks. But thank you. Thanks to everybody, and we'll get at it.
Mr. Chair, just one comment, if I may. We've had more interaction with his office than anybody. He's working harder than anybody I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to work with back there.
Well, I mentioned my team.
We appreciate what you're doing and your effort. It's noticed, it's recognized, and it really means a lot to us. So thank you for all of your effort and your sacrifice. Talked about a lot of our guys making sacrifices. You got 4 young kids at home, and you're back there all the time fighting the good fight. And you need to know that we appreciate what you're doing, and you need to hear us say thank you to you as well, because that's an enormous sacrifice.
That means a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much. My boy went 0 for 4 from the line the other day. And I was like, oh no, I got to pull the plug. If my kid's not going to shoot free throws, this thing's over. And then his last game, he had hit a 2-and-1 and hit his free throw to win the game. So we're going to be okay.
I don't remember ever in my tenure having a congressman here on our dais speaking to us. So that means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to our colleagues. So thank you so much for that as well, Congressman. Please go ahead.
No, me neither. In my whole time here, this is the first time for me. Yeah.
Perfect.
Look, we're getting after it. We're loving the work that we're doing, and the engagement from y'all has been huge. So got good stuff. Thank you all.
Hey, Vice Chair Lopez, I think it's a Kodak moment, though.
Oh, absolutely. Would you like to snap a quick picture?
Absolutely. Where do you want?
Just right here, please,
Okay.
Congressman. And
I want you to have your things wrapped around you.
we'll come down here.
If you want to just kind of be
Just
right
right there. We'll
here.
be right behind you. We're good. Yep.
Move my way a little bit.
Next to that number 2 right there.
Looks like he's taking parts of our body. Like, good to see you, man. I will. Thanks much. Appreciate it. Thank you. You look great in the tie. It's like he's gonna post them together. Like, here's the midsection, here's the top section.
All right. Thanks again to Congressman Blakemore and his staff for being here tonight. The next item on our agenda is a recognition for Recorder of the Year. We're going to be recognizing City Recorder Tracy Hansen for being named the 2021 Utah Recorder of the Year by the Utah Municipal Clerks Association, and we have Councilmember Blair helping us read that recognition. Councilmember Blair.
Thank you. This is truly an honor There's a part in here that says that Tracy Hansen goes above and beyond, and she epitomizes the Ogden spirit, and I believe that with all my heart. It's an honor to be able to read this. In my time here, she has done her work quietly, very effectively, and never once has she ever patted herself on the back, and yet she truly is remarkable and does an amazing job for us. And it is an honor for us to take the time to honor her tonight. So I'm sure she's probably back there sweating and nervous as all get out, because this is not her favorite thing to do, but it's a treat for me to be able to do this. It reads, the Ogden City Council and Mayor proudly recognize Tracy Hansen for providing invaluable contributions to the Ogden community. As the city recorder for Ogden City, Tracy Hansen goes above and beyond her duties. She epitomizes the Ogden spirit and has a strong passion for the work that she does. Because of her influence and proactive approach, Tracy was named the Outstanding Recorder for the year of 2021 by the Utah Municipal Clerks Association. This is one of many awards Tracy has received during her tenure here at Ogden City. Tracy has more than 25 years of experience with record management. She began working for Ogden City in 2003 and has worked as the city recorder since 2012. Thank goodness, because that's about the time I ran, and I'm not sure I would have got my deadlines without her in there, so thank you. She works tirelessly to ensure the recorder's office always has the latest and most up-to-date information on record practices. In addition to her work for Ogden City, Tracy has served on various boards and committees, including the Utah State Records Management Committee, the Historical Records Advisory Board, and the board of the Utah Salt Lake chapter of ARMA. We are grateful for Tracy's dedication and commitment to Ogden City and congratulate her for this tremendous honor. We wish her continued success, and I think I speak for everyone when it reads, and we know that she will do many more great things in the years to come. With that.
If we could have Tracy come on, please. Thank you. We're going to have another Kodak moment. Tracy, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations, Tracy.
Ben hugged the fireman last week, but I thought, no. I'm not going to put you yeah. Bring them all.
Yeah. Really? Oh.
Now.
We went like this.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have two of us stand?
I'll start the timer if you want.
No. As you guys know, I don't like to be on this side. I want to be over there. And but I truly appreciate the recognition. Thank you so much for this evening. I'm grateful to work at a place that's so supportive, that allows us to grow and develop and attend trainings so we can take care of all the many aspects of our jobs. I feel fortunate to be able to work and do work that I have a passion for and that I love. And I'm especially fortunate to do it here with Ogden City. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vice Chair Lopez, would
Yes,
it
sir.
be right if I said something?
Please go ahead.
So
Tracy?
you see a lot what Tracy does here in the meetings, and you get the minutes that you get to read, but you have no idea how much support they provide your staff, us, and we just want to say thank you again, because they're really tremendous women, and especially Tracy that works down there. We thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, moving along, we have a request to be on the agenda from the Ogden City Youth Council to present a year-end report, and we have Mercedes here. Radon? Rondon. I'm butchering names here. I'm sorry. Welcome, Mercedes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you so much again for having me here. My name is Mercedes Ronton, and I'm the current president of the Ogden Youth Council, which was actually first established this year, and we are so excited to have the opportunity to be here for you guys today. Okay, so a bit about the history of the Youth Council and what we've done in the past. So 2 years ago in 2020, when we were still in the first round of quarantine, Amir Jackson from Nurture the Creative Mind and Nurture the Creative Mind in general had a presentation in front of you all. And you might actually remember me from a couple years ago, which I gave that presentation. And I had the amazing opportunity to stand in front of you all and talk about why we should institute an Ogden Youth Council, because I believe it's incredibly important to encourage youth civic engagement. And I'm ecstatic that we were able to actually have an in-person council this year. So the first city council, or the Ogden Leadership Academy, was created last year, and it was a bit of a struggle just because, again, it was online because of COVID, and so we weren't able to have as many meetings as we would have liked to have, and so this year was the first time that we had a fully functioning in-person youth council. Okay. So more background on what the 2021 to 2022 Ogden Youth Council is that only students who attend Ogden district schools are able to participate. And we've had participants we've had 4 from Ogden High School, 2 from Ben Lomond High School, 4 from Da Vinci Academy, 2 from St. Joseph's High School, 2 from New Ames, and 1 from Mount Ogden Junior High School, which is an amazing representation, especially for our first year. So the first activity that we engaged with was an elections tour at the Weber County Clerk, and we had Weber County Clerk Auditor Ricky Hatch give us a tour of the elections office, and we had the opportunity to learn more about elections and ballots in general and more about voting. The next activity that we engaged with was at the Ogden Nature Center, and we were able to pull invasive weeds and help with just like the winterization, which was a good service opportunity because we had to put a little bit of elbow grease into it, which you don't really see in community service as much nowadays, and so that was a good opportunity. The next was a tour of the Public Safety Building, and we had a 20-minute question and answer session with Chief Young and Deputy Chief Sube. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. And then after that, we were able to volunteer at the Lantern House, and we worked the dinner shift. And so we were able to like scoop food and hand it to homeless individuals or other people in need. And then after that, we participated at the Utah Local Officials Day, which is basically a conglomeration of all Utah local youth councils from around the state who come together for this one day to meet with local representatives and learn more about Utah and government in general, especially local government, and the importance of engaging with it at an early age. And in doing so, we were able to participate with a flag project because, as most of you are aware, Utah is now beginning to revamp their state flag and come up with a better version. And so we were able to engage with some activities and draw our own flags, which for some of us weren't that great, but for Ellie Gomez, actually, she had the opportunity to go and present her flag that she designed, which is pictured there. And she was able to give like a speech about hers in front of the entire state who was present at that event, which was amazing because only 5 people were able to actually present their ideas and their flags. So it was an incredible opportunity for her to be able to do that, and we were all so proud. And then because of this event, we were actually inspired to begin to create our own Ogden City flag because we actually don't have an official flag, and we are the last remaining major city in Utah to not have an official state flag or official city flag, which is bit of a disadvantage. And so because of that, we were inspired to begin to create a project where we started to investigate an Ogden city flag, what makes Ogden special, and how we can represent that. And so we had a school-wide competition between all the high schools and middle schools within Ogden. And we had students, we went to each school individually and then had students present their own ideas and have an opportunity to draw out their designs. And then afterwards, we had a bit of an editing revision where we established some criteria for what makes makes a good flag, which we learned from a vexillologist, which is somebody who studies flags, and it's a really long word, and we had to learn that. But basically, what a vexillologist does is that they establish criteria for what a good flag is, and so based on that, we were able to select some of the designs featured there, dependent on what a good flag is and how we should specify that. And we've now established it for the community as well, and so we've had a couple more submissions, and we're continuing to work on it over the summer. So our next steps are, of course, to continue working with the Ogden City flag and establish our first official state or city flag, and also encourage more students to apply for the next school year, the 2022 to 2023 school year. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your time and generosity in creating this council, because I think it's a very important advancement especially for youth, and an excellent opportunity to engage with local government. So do you have any questions for me?
I hope your council did not outwork our council this year, Mercedes,
I'm not sure
with
that's
all those
possible.
projects. So that was amazing, all the work that's happened. Any questions?
I don't have a question. Number one, I am blown away. She's amazing.
I gotta say,
So,
yes, that's true.
And congratulations to whoever picked this group. Outstanding. But I would really like to hear from Ellie Gomez about her flag idea. I think
Sure.
that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
I think it's really impressive. She did all that on one breath.
I mean,
Yeah, I have that habit.
Hi. So it was a really crazy experience. Actually, I do not consider myself an artist, but what I am is like very passionate. So my and it also had a honeycomb, because we're Utah and we represent like the working, because that's what we are, right? And so for me, I had 8 feathers to represent the 8 tribes here in Utah, because I feel like it's really important to recognize, those people that came and like everything they did. Like, they're amazing people. And I feel like our flag for Utah, because it was the Utah competition thing, I feel like it was really important to, just have that on our flag. And it was a really crazy experience. I got to talk in front of some people from I think it was the executive branch. I think there was like 2 members there. But for me, I talked about like the economy, like, about like the nature we have here in Utah. So that was my flag idea, was basically a honeycomb. And then in the center, there was the 8 different types of feathers to represent, the 8 different tribes. And then I had a different color for each, to represent a different meaning. So yeah, I wouldn't consider myself an artist. I did not expect, to be picked. They actually didn't tell us until after, like, hey, don't, like, some of you guys might be able to speak, some of you guys might not. And I was like, inside I was like, please don't call me. But then again, I was like, please, call me. So because I want the experience. So yeah, I was really passionate about my design, and, I got to present that. But I also think, it has to, the people behind me with, like an amazing president that we have, and, chairman, and then like the people, the youth council, like, we're all passionate. I feel like I also couldn't have came up with the idea if it wasn't for them too. So, we're all work together. It's not just like one of us. It's like we all come together and we work together and we accomplish big things when we're together.
So speaking of that, that's a great segue to actually ask the rest of your team, your youth council, if they're the ones that are here, to come up. Let's just take a quick picture. If you'd like to please come up, and we want to recognize you, okay? Please, thank you.
is Amir here? Well, I'm going to shake your hand because I'm all the way.
Yeah, I want to too.
It was fantastic. Good job. Yeah. So I have this wow look in our picture. You'll know why.
I'm a junior.
Tiffany, thanks so much for being here. What's your name? Thor. Thor? Nice. Everybody's Thor.
Looks like Thor. You know how you stand like sideways? Okay, we'll stand sideways because we're going to need to get closer together.
Squeeze in.
This is sideways.
Squeeze in.
Yeah, pretend you like each other.
Yeah. Okay, look in here.
All right, let's give him a hand. Thank you.
Vice Chair Lopez, would it be okay if Ross said a few words?
Absolutely. Go ahead. You bet.
First off, I was going to give that presentation, Mercedes did a way better job than I could have. So I'm glad that she was willing to do that. She is awesome. She's been a great chair. She'll probably, hopefully, be on again next year. We'll try to strong arm her into applying again. It's been amazing this year working with the youth council, kind of getting the ball rolling. Like Mercedes said, they did have a youth council in 2020 to 2021. It couldn't really get going because of COVID, and it was on Zoom. This year, we've kind of built the program from the ground up. Try to get involved in some service projects and some fun new things like the flag project. And it's just, they blow me away every time we meet together. They're amazing. So I felt very privileged to have worked with them this year. These kids, I got to see their resumes. They are just the brightest, most, it sounds so cliche, but they're amazing. They're so much smarter than me and my friends were in high school. So they're going places for sure. Anyway, are there any questions for me?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry, Chair Lopez.
Yes.
I know. I'm sorry. Normally, I don't speak during these meetings.
No, you
at
go
all.
ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to Ross. I mean, as you know, he's leaving us at the end of the month, and I think we're going to miss him the most because of the great work that he's done with the Youth Council. It's going to be really hard to find someone to take that over and do as great a job as he's done. And again, thanks to the kids for participating.
Absolutely. Well, we're all going to miss Ross. Yeah, for sure.
You're going to miss Ross.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. That was quite a treat. Thank you again for being here and for all the great work you're doing. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I don't think anybody, not even the congressman, got a double clapping. So I'm telling you, you're doing great. Okay, next on the agenda, we have Ogden Soccer Annual Report. We have Stephen Van Wagner.
Did good job.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. I think we're going to try to keep this to 10 minutes.
Yes, before my time starts, however, and I'll do my best to stay at 10 minutes. I've been doing this now 13 to come up on 14 years.
Yeah.
The last time I was in this council chambers was to present Ogden City Rec the crystal soccer ball that we won when I was a coach for an undefeated team. It just so happens Mercedes was our goalkeeper during those years. And she only allowed 7 goals in the entire season. So for all those soccer fans to have that many games, 7 goals in, another round of applause.
Again, there you go. There you go. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Council.
10 minutes starts now?
Yes, please.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you
go ahead.
for
Thank
having
you.
us this evening, administration, council, leadership. We are Ogden Soccer. In 2018, we came together after serving organization for many years, and we decided, we sat in my living room and said there's a better way to do soccer, to provide youth sport here in Ogden. We wanted to make sure every kid had the opportunity to participate, that our coaches were the highest trained, and that at the end of it all, we were remaining to be community focused. In these, since from 2018 to now, we've done an amazing job with the health of our 100% volunteer team. We have our board of directors, we have our club directors, and Brittany Litz, our club administrator, who couldn't be here tonight, but she wanted me to send her warm regards. Program directors, many of them you see here tonight. All these people are what make Ogden Soccer happen with the support of our city and our parents. Our Ogden Soccer vision statement is to provide a high-value, player-centered program utilizing the highest level trained coaches in a positive environment while being community-focused. Our Ogden Soccer mission is supported by our 4 principles. Those 4 principles are player-centered. That means that everything we do, we bring it to the child's level. As you can see there, Coach Luis is coming down. He's kneeling down. He's getting into their eye level. Everything we do as an organization is about our player. Our second principle, train coaches in accordance with the U.S. Soccer Player Development Framework. That is the highest standard of soccer in the nation. We develop our coaches at this level so that way they are better teachers to our players, our children. It's not often that you're going to find any of our coaches or program administrators tapping themselves on the back, but we've got 9 9 D-licensed coaches in our program. That's incredible. That's incredible to have that many high-level coaches in our program. Our third principle is positive environment. That means that everything we do is focused on development over winning. We focus on the individual player, lifting them up. It is a team sport. However, often the players, there's what's often referred to as starters and bench warmers. Everybody plays with Ogden Soccer, and it's in a positive environment. Our fourth principle is community focus. What does that mean? When we started off on this experiment here a couple years ago, we were sending large checks out of state every single year to the tune of about 23 grand. Now we're able to keep all those funds in our community. Why is that important? That's important because our participants summary sees that from 2018 to 2021, we're going up in players from 126 to 644. And that's actually over 700 now with our spring registration. Our total coaches, our recreation competitive coaches continue to increase. Our volunteer contribution summary, over 78,000 hours have been contributed by our volunteers from 2018 to 2021. That is a huge value being given back to our community, to our kids, and everything that we stand for here in Ogden. Our annual report. Why is it important to keep money here locally and not be sending it out of state to support a local nonprofit with the only organization that has a city business license, insurances, all those things in place? Why is that important? Because we're able to purchase $15,000 in new frames and donate those to Ogden City and the greater good of everybody to use. So those big white frames that you see out at the parks, Ogden City buys those. We donate those to Ogden Rec. $15,000 worth in the last few years. We provide Ogden City player use fees. Yep, we pay to play. We pay to play. We utilize the fields, and we want to be good stewards. So we provide funding to Ogden City Rec on an annual basis. Field line painting. This year we'll be spending about $5,000 to paint fields out there in our community. These are lines that everybody's using. Saturdays, Sundays, Fridays, Monday through Friday. Everybody's utilizing, including the school district, and Ogden Soccer volunteers and members are paying and making sure that that all happens. That's why it's important to be community focused, making sure everything stays local. Our contributions to our training and our equipment, just in the last few years, over $42,000 in training and equipment for our coaches and our teachers here locally. And playership grants. This is really important. Not everybody in our community has the opportunity and can afford to play soccer. Soccer has gotten to a point where some clubs are charging $2,000 to $5,000 a year for a kid to play soccer. We're trying to get it back to the way it used to be when we were younger, where our parents and our families and our friends got out there and participated. But we want to make sure every kid is playing. So in the last 3 years, we've been able to pay for over $4,800 in additional playership grants for kids that wouldn't have been able to afford soccer to play soccer. We want to make sure accessibility is there for everybody in our community. This is kind of cool, our uniforms. And so why is this cool? Our uniforms got redesigned last year. Here is the coach's shirt. You'll see right across the front. What do we see? Ogden. Ogden. Why is that important? Because our competitive teams play from St. George to Logan. They play out of state in tournaments. And everywhere we go, we take the best of sportsmanship. We take the best of camaraderie, and we take the best of competition, and we're proud enough to say it right across our jerseys, who we are and what we represent, Ogden. On our jerseys now, you're going to see it. You're going to see Ogden over 6 times on our jerseys. Why is that important? Because when we're out traveling across the state, we've got over 2 million real visual impressions on these teams. When players are out there running up and down the field, they're being seen multiple times, and that's not counted in these equations here. But over 2.5 million real visual impressions of Ogden being spread throughout the state and providing additional goodwill and showing just everything that is special here in Ogden. Goal soccer. I'm going to turn it over now to Carlos Orlano. He is our goal soccer, which stands for Greater Ogden Area League Soccer.
Perfect segue to do a time check. Remind you 3 minutes left. Thank you
I'll
so
go
much.
As fast as
thank
I
you.
can.
Thank you. No, you got
How's
3 minutes.
everybody doing?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad that you guys are listening to my voice. I have plenty to say, but I'll try to keep it very short. Goal soccer is just a little subsection of what Ogden Soccer is doing. It's recreational. 50 to 60-ish volunteers that are adults that monitor our children, that engage with kids, that interact with them on a daily basis. We have, I want to say, about 700 to 800 recreational kids that on a weekly basis go out, they practice, they engage with their friends, they engage with adults, they talk to each other. The framework that we're trying to help them with is we're trying to make them understand that as a community, soccer is important for them in that moment. But in the long term, what we want them to be thinking about is how we engage with each other as human beings on a daily basis. And Steve is great at explaining that. I'll try my best to explain about the human part of soccer and the human part of Ogden Soccer. We really try to help our kids have protective factors, social connectedness, good eating habits, good just camaraderie between each other. And I think those are things that as a community are an impact for them now and in the future. I have been lucky that when I moved to Ogden, I was welcomed by that community, and I've been able to express my voice in that community. I hope to continue to contribute to them. What I would love for you guys to do, if you can, is assist us in any way so that we can show these kids ways, solutions for their problems. I'll tell you a really quick story. We'll call her Beanie Boo because that's what her mom asked me to call her. Beanie Boo has some issues at school, has a tough time getting to classes, getting through her homework. And when she comes to soccer, that's her refuge. Luckily, we have a coach that volunteers. She's a scientist. We get those two together. They come up with some study habits. Beanie Boo is now really excited about doing science. So what does that have to do with soccer? Not too much, but what I want you to understand is that we're giving them a really, really awesome framework for them to engage in the community. There's so much potential in Ogden. I genuinely love Ogden. I love soccer, but I love the community a lot more. I think one of you guys out there plays with me. Where are you? Hey. So anyway, sorry. I just was excited to see him. So thank you so much for listening to me. I wish I had more time to speak to you. I know I'm on a deadline. So pass it over here to my boy, Oscar.
I got 24 seconds. How you guys doing? My name is Oscar Gonzalez. So I am the competition director for Ogden Soccer. You know, once they go from the goal program, they get through me. You know, it's in the last 3 years, we have a very awesome group of coaches. You know, 28 coaches, 13 team managers, 203 comp players. We've had success. You know, last year we had 3 teams get promoted up to higher divisions. One team win a tournament.
That was Brandon. Go ahead, finish your thoughts,
so
please.
It's fun. You know, it's great. It's a great privilege being a coach. It's a great privilege being part of Ogden Soccer. You know, I mean, all us coaches work together. We're there for the kids. You know, we on the average, you know, we volunteer at least, you know, in season, anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a week. You know, I mean, 40 hours a month, you know, I mean, and it's turned into a year-round thing. So we're there for the kids during the summer. You know, we're going on hikes. We're doing fun things. We're keeping them active. During the winter this year, we were able to secure a futsal area space, you know, to where, you know, what do you do on Christmas break? You know, you're sitting home, you're just enjoying eating snacks, you know, hey, we still get to do that, but we were keeping them active. So Ogden Soccer is just great for the kids, great for the coaches. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us go over and telling our story here and what we're doing here in Ogden. I appreciate all of you guys and any further support you can lend us.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Absolutely.
And we all have teams out on the field right now, so if we all run out of here, understand
you won't hurt our feelings.
We're going to teams.
It happens to at every meeting.
Okay.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate everything you do. Love what I heard. Amazing volunteer time. Amazing contribution to the community. So thank you so much for what you're doing, and let's figure out a way to get connected and try to expand at least my knowledge and understanding of everything that's happening with your amazing team. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very much. Appreciate it. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, they did a great job. Thank you so much. Do we need to fix the horn?
I did.
You fixed
I
it?
fixed the horn. It's now a nice chime.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. That was funny. Okay. Okay. So next on the agenda, we have common consent, a common consent item. And would anyone like to make a motion to approve this?
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the common consent.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Traverka and a second by Councilmember Heyer to approve the common consent. Is this a voice vote? It is. So all of you who vote yes for these, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes.
Are any of them here tonight?
I do not know. Are any of them here tonight?
That would be Daniel Bedford, Amy Urbina, sorry, Bridget, I should
Barkema.
Lucy, Barkema, and Riley Allen. If any of them are here, we'd love to recognize you.
All right. No one's here tonight, so we'll send them a virtual thank you when they get to hear or see our meeting. And nobody will hurt our feelings if you have to leave early. So next we have public hearings. And we're going to hear from Brady, is that correct? Presentation about water shortage. Mr. Brady Hurd, take it away, please.
All right. Good evening. All right. So I'll be talking about the updates to the water shortage management plan as well as the declaration of severe water shortage. So stepping into it, current water status. I want to cover that before we get into the shortage plan. So currently, if you look at as of on the slide, as of April 1st, if you see over the left-hand side, if you see the dark line, it's trending just below 90% of normal, and green is the median or the normal, if you will. So right now, currently, in the Weber-Ogden Basin, we're trending just below that normal portion of it when it comes to precipitation for the year. And then directing your attention over to the right-hand side when it comes to reservoir storage. These are all the different storages that feed into or store in our basins for Ogden and Weber. The main one that I'd like to draw your attention to is Pineview. So you can see in the green, that is actually what we're at capacity-wise in relation to last year, which is in the blue in capacity, what it's at. So at the end of April, I think we were sitting around 49% of storage capacity in Pineview as it stands. So one thing that I wanted to touch back on the reservoirs is over the last several years, 3 to 4 years, there's been a kind of prolonged drought state that we've been in as a state. And as the drought has continued to prolong, we've slowly been diminishing or depleting the reserves that are found in those reservoirs. And so as we've depleted those, obviously this year is a good indication. If you take a drive up by Pineview, you'll see there's a lot less reserves held in those reservoirs. So I know that Weber Basin and Pineview are working really hard as much as they can to try and keep as much water and snowpack as they can to the north. I know that there's a water duct that can actually transfer water further south, but being that central Utah is a little bit better state of water right now compared to northern state, they're doing what they can to try and help us out as much as they can in some of the reservoirs. Okay, so now stepping into this slide, there again, as of April 1st, you can see the snowpack is 65% of normal. So if you look at that trend line, the darker line, the green line or the green area is the normal to median area. So you can see that we're well below where we need to be when it comes to snowpack. And then jumping over to the right, soil saturation or soil moisture. Right now, we're sitting at 74% when it comes to overall saturation, and how they look at that from year to year. So here's kind of all that information summarized, as you can see. One of the things, a couple of things that I want to draw your attention to is, so when it comes to the average temperatures in Weber and Ogden rivers, right now they're above average, which is a good indicator that this upcoming summer is going to be drier and hotter than typical. So that means it'll probably also burn off some of the water in reserves that we have, and then also in some of those rivers. Also, when we look at the the surface water supply index percentiles, the percentile is the historic data on a scale from 1 to 99. This takes in a whole bunch of parameters when it comes to snowpack, precipitation, temperatures, saturation in the soil, and it gives us a percentile over over a 30-year history. Currently, the Ogden River is sitting at the 9th percentile, so it's very low. So one percentile would be the worst ever recorded, and we're currently sitting at the 9th percentile. And then the Weber River is sitting around 12th in percentile. So once again, Pine View's sitting around 49%. Last year, around the same time, you'd probably see about 58%, and then the year prior, 2020, you would have seen it probably about 74%. So there again, you can kind of see the trends of diminishing reserves in those reservoirs. All right, so stepping down into the shortage management plan. So the shortage management plan is fully intended to augment our conservation plan as a city, as well as the ordinance that are associative to the plan. As you look into this plan, ultimately there's 4 different phases that elevate to different severities. Increasing drought severities and responses. So, So the whole intent of updating this plan and the triggers and titles and targets is to better align our effort and our plan of shortage in water, so it'll more so coincide with the state indices and indications in drought response, as well as to make them a little bit more concise. So that's the intent of the update for the plan. And so now stepping down into the phase and responses, you'll see currently we're in phase 1, which is normal to moderate. This is primarily the phase in which we'll do a lot of education and encourage conservation and outreach. There's no specific triggers or targets for this phase. The phase 2 would be severe, and this is the phase that the city will be looking to elevate to based off of the water indices and indications that we've got in seeing where we're tracking for the year. So as we step into the severe phase 2, a couple of things to keep in mind. The indications that we'll be looking for on the surface water supply index is that it's below a negative 1.76 is kind of the score that we would want to be below in knowing whether or not we need to trigger into a severe state, which we are at this point below that. When it comes to the governor, I don't know how many of you listened to him back on April 1st or April 21st of this last month, but he actually declared an executive order and a state of an emergency that basically 100% of Utah is mostly in a severe drought. And so this also coincides with what the state levels are. There again, we're trying to get more so in line with them with some of these updates, and this coincides with that. So that covers the triggers for the most part, and then we'll also continue to monitor reservoirs and our wells and our drawdowns as other parameters that we watch closely, just to see if there's any abnormalities in that. So the trigger for phase 2 is going to be that we will be looking to do water reduction of 10% citywide. So that's the target that we're trying to hit overall. So stepping over to phase 3. Phase 3 will be an extreme status, and it's critical that we conserve in the phase 3. Some of the things we'll be looking for there again is monitoring with the wells, the reservoirs, and then when it comes to this surface water supply indexing for the state and all the different parameters we look at, the score that we'll be looking to trigger is being below negative 2.76 on the score, and based off of some of the state indices, and more or less showing that we're in an extreme drought situation, or those conditions exist. So there is probably a good chance that we'll probably have to elevate to phase 3 maybe mid to late summer, especially if and when there are algae conditions that arise as we kind of get into August. Usually we've historically seen algae conditions arise, and if that arises in Pineview, then that will introduce water quality issues, which makes it harder to treat the water, and it potentially also can bring anotoxins, which are not good to ingest and to consume. So the target that we will be looking to shoot for on phase 3 is a 20% reduction in water citywide. So there's that. And then stepping over to phase 4, this is the most extreme and final stage that we would be able to elevate in to more so in an emergency type case, that this is like, we can't keep up to our water reserves, or our water sources cannot keep up with the demands of the city, is more or less what this phase would be. And so some of the triggers we would be looking for there, again, reservoirs as well as our wells, and the surface water supply index is going to be negative 3.51 in the state indices, and as well as we'll be looking to see it as an exceptional drought conditions are present. So the overall targets we're looking to hit on this phase is a 30% reduction. So currently we are looking to elevate to a phase 2. So this is an example. You can kind of see this is a picture that was taken in the last week or two with Pineview. That's kind of the existing condition that's in play right now. There again, end of the month, 49% of capacity. As you look over to the right, you can see this is an example of the declaration that the mayor will be looking to sign as soon as all the plan updates and everything are in place and approved, along with the ordinance that coincide with that. So we'll be looking to put this into place as soon as those go into effect here and are approved. And then we'll also be looking to do a lot of public outreach through press and doing a media release as part of this, and elevating to this status. We've also, of recent, I'm sure several of you have probably already seen a postcard that's come out as to what that will mean for some of the residents, as well as we're going to, I know in the last week, we also had a water fair that we participated in to try and educate some of the elementary children about conservation and how it's important, as well as we'll be having information out on the web pages, as well as Facebook and city-sponsored social media outlets. So what this means in putting this declaration into play for the typical resident in Ogden is no watering outdoor for irrigation from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., limiting irrigation to 2 times a week. And then residential customers are encouraged to reduce all their water consumption by 10%. And then commercial customers are encouraged to reduce their water consumption by 15%. And then adjust your watering according to weather. We've been fortunate of recent to kind of have some of these lower temperatures, as well as a little precipitation, which every drop has definitely helped. So with that, if we can also look to avoid washing hard surfaces, except for health and safety situations, that's another thing that we're also recommending. I know that we've been in discussion with school district, as well as the golf courses and parks and several other agencies that are bigger maybe water users in a sense, and we're also making them very much aware of these restrictions in place and looking to work with them and holding them to that. So, okay. So then getting the word out to, this is an example of the Conserve and Save letter that we send out in the spring and the fall of every given year. So this is another channel that we're looking to also send out in correlation with the declaration going out. This will be going out in the next couple of weeks through, there again, the mail, to educate and let people know what's going on, as well as it educates them about some of the conservation packets that we have that are free that they can come pick up, and as well as a moisture meter and everything else that way. So gives them some tips and tricks that they can be considering in trying to be water conscious and water wise.
Brady, could I interrupt a little bit? Is that all right?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is on this information that you're publishing the UtahWaterSavers.com website and all of the incentives for people to get smart sprinkler timers, water saving toilets, all of those kind of things? That's all listed in here?
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, that'll be in the declaration, as well as that's one of the things we try to make as a source on the web page, as well as we can make it a point to make sure it's in this.
There's a lot of great information if we just tap into it. So
yep.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it was referenced.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. And I know that right now internally as a city, we're working on like flip your strip and stuff that way. I know that there'll be some of that coming later on to try and incentivize to do more drought tolerant type scenarios, right? And more so hydrozoning or xeriscaping, whatever you might want to consider it in an intent to try and conserve water, right? And so those, I know that we're working to try and get that direction. It's just not quite there, but be patient and we'll get to that point. So, yeah, any other questions while we're on that? Thank you.
And there'll be time for questions at the end as well. So thank you.
Yeah. So just to reemphasize just real quick, I know that Weber Basin, they've already assessed cuts. So what that means for the city as a wholesale situation is that we purchase some wholesale treated water as well as raw water out of Pineview. They've already assessed cuts of 10% indoor and then 60% outdoor, as well as they're not looking to charge their secondary lines until middle of May. And they'll be telling all their customers that they can only water once a week. And then I know Pineview is actually in the process as of the beginning of May of charging their secondary lines. And then they'll be telling all their customers that they can only water twice a week. So that, there again, we went with the latter to try and make it as consistent as we can across all agencies, and that we'll be doing twice a week currently with this severe stage that we're going into. So we'll continue to work with those agencies. Just be mindful of that, and anything that you can do to conserve and reach out, we very much appreciate it. We will also be looking to enforce these requirements. We'll be having people go out and you can report water wasted on our website, as well as we'll have personnel that gets out checking those situations, taking pictures, and then looking to help with code enforcement and enforcing that. So, and there are violations associative to that. But anyways, I think that's pretty much everything I've got for you this evening when it comes to that. If
any questions for Brady?
I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Councilmember Blair. No. I was just going to ask, I know we talked a lot about residential users and, those kinds of issues. How do we plan to really monitor the industrial use? Because I know that that's a huge part of the usage of water. I know that we're asking, to reduce their usage by 15%, but how do we kind of monitor that, just because it's part of their production, not necessarily for their landscape, right?
Right. Well, and it's both there. So with that, we'll also be working to try and talk with some of those higher consumers and seeing if they can do anything and putting together a plan, more so to where we would encourage them to have some type of conservation plan in place to where they would plan on where they could cut back. Mostly where we see most of the waste and the water being is outdoor use. So yeah, obviously with some of these bigger organizations where they don't really have as much green space, it would probably be a little bit more challenging, but we'll have to just talk with them in an individual basis and knowing how to better work through some of those situations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Vice Chair, I just have a quick question. It may not be for Brady.
Go ahead, please.
You know, we're coming upon a time where you're obviously painting a very
dismal,
poor, dismal picture.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a few times. I know that it's state driven, but have we had any other conversations regarding fireworks and banning those? And I hate to be the curmudgeon here, but I'm just trying to see if we're being proactive instead of reactive, I guess.
We are notifying firework companies when they come in and get their business licenses that we think there will be restrictions on fireworks. We've been working on that. We're actually working on concepts of maybe trying to get the law modified. We can't get it modified for this season, but we see maybe the drought will be in place for a lot longer period of time than just now, and we really do need to modify the law. So we're going to the extent of the law that we can, and then we're trying to warn the firework companies that there's a chance that they might not want to have such a huge inventory that they might not be able to sell.
Thank you, Mark.
One more question for Brady. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much for clapping. And I think from this point on, we're going to have to restrict clapping because it's according to our norms. But thank you. And we really apologize for that. But it's the way we have it on our norms. It's a little tricky. So this is a public hearing. And so anyone who would like to come and speak on this item is welcome to do so at this moment. You're welcome to come up to the podium and speak about this if you like. Okay, seeing no movement. Brandon, do we have? Okay, go ahead. You're gonna be allowed to speak online about this for our public hearing. You're gonna have 3 minutes. I can't see the screen here, Brandon, so you can help us monitor that over there. And if you just signal me when the 3 minutes are out, please. So let me know when they're on.
Chair, I think somebody stood up in the back. Maybe we can have.
Okay, well, okay. Come up, please. Come on up. Yeah, you bet. You bet. Mm-hmm. No. You have 3 minutes.
Okay.
And please say your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Eva Barnett, and I live on 5th here in Ogden. And I just wanted to support everything that was just said. I live right next to Gina Madison Elementary, and I know as neighbors often we're a little concerned that so much water is on the landscaping. Of course, the fields, we need fields for play. Kids need to be able to exercise. But clearly this is an emergency. And if there's any way that the city can lead by example with modifying some of the landscaping in places where people don't necessarily even need to be, like right outside my window, it's just a big area of green next to a parking lot. And I think dogs use it. But besides that, that's all that it's there for. And it's watered regularly, even when it's been raining. I don't know what kind of regulation there is for monitoring that spot specifically. So anyway, just in general, I just really encourage the city to do whatever they can for places that we can change the landscaping and be that kind of difference. I know it'll do a lot for neighborhood morale as we're also changing our landscaping and getting used to a different color here in Utah and embracing that because we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please come on up.
My name is Kim Bouchard. I'm an Ogden City resident, and I have served at the pleasure of the governor on the board of Weber Basin Water Conservancy for the past, I think I'm in my 11th year. And I've never seen, I think none of us have ever seen anything like this. That presentation was just a snippet of what is going on, not only in our area, but obviously our whole region, the upper and lower Colorado River Basin. And any enforcement or any teeth that we can give to, everything, the watering, the conservation, all of it. I mean, there's wonderful resources out there between Weber Basin and the state and the region in general, and it's just really serious. And he mentioned it, but the Ogden River drainage is literally one of the hardest hit in the whole state, and Ben Lomond just has not been getting the snow, whether it's lake effect because the lake's, shrinking, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I see a lot of reports and it's really serious. So thank you for your action and whatever you do. And it matters because who knows? I mean, statistics are scary. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please come on up. So glad that more of you decided to come and speak about this issue. Thank you.
Unfortunately, it's all the same issue.
If you can please state your name for the record.
Yeah, John Slaughter. And I actually have one of those forms that Brady was talking about here. I drove to the BDO to get here. And the very west side, all those new buildings that were just put in, they just put new sod down, just barely finished. And they were actually watering when I was coming over here. So I was curious as to what we're doing for the city properties that we can cut back a little bit more, because this right here, this right here says no landscaping such as new sod and grass, but yet we just put new sod and grass over in the BDO. So like everyone else has said, anything we can do to cut back as the city, us residences, and as the city properties as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We'll address some of these questions to the administration when we're done taking public input. We'll address your question in a few minutes. Thank you. Anyone else please come on up, please.
Hi, my name is Lishka Moretto, and I'm a resident over at 40th, and I'm also a student at Weber State. For the past few years, I haven't been able to water in my yard, and I don't like to do it either because I know that the water consequences. But I think that we would be doing the local residents a favor by letting them know that this is not going to change anytime soon. I have heard neighbors of mine say, "Oh, my garden is not looking pretty, and this is unfair," and etc. And I think that it would just be fair to let the residents know that this is not going to change anytime soon, and that there are other options out there for their lawn that require less water, and that they can change to those options. And I think that that's a good way to just pivot and say, hey, your yard doesn't necessarily need to be ugly. There are other options out there that are more conservative towards water that can help your household. Because I understand it's the perceived value of your home and whatnot. In my case, that's it. But there are local landscape architects that's what they do for xeriscaping and other options. And so just want to put that out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else from the chambers here that would like to come up? Okay. Thank you. Brandon?
How about now? There we go. Angel Castillo, the time is yours.
Okay, if you can please state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Great. Thank you. Good evening. Angel Castillo, Ogden resident. Leadership is important, and it's also a team sport. You can have a hotshot, incredibly gifted athlete, and if they are not a team player who understands teammates' strengths and weaknesses and works with them, you won't make it to the championship. And there is nothing more vital to a company or a city's long-term health than the choice and cultivation of future leaders within the department teams. A good leader empowers their staff, offers opportunities to learn and opportunities to lead within the department, all while watching as a spotter ready to step in and make the catch if there's an unexpected bobble. A good leader trains their team to be able to step into their shoes at a moment's notice. A good leader doesn't have to worry about a team member gunning for their job because they've been so supportive growing their team members' skill sets. A good leader builds a pathway for succession and learning new skills within the organization. A good leader meets with their team every 6 months for a skills evaluation to lift up where they excel and reflect on what skills need improvement and make a joint plan on how to increase improvement in those areas. And if a leader finds themselves in the desirable position of having an incredibly strong team member, someone who could literally lead the team with no additional support, then it's time to expand that team member's responsibilities and find a project they're interested in that gives them new skills and uplifts and achieves new goals for the team and gives purpose to their role. If you can't do that, it's time to help that team member plan for their next step on the career path, which gives the leader time to onboard the next qualified team member and keep the system humming. This also gives you goodwill of the exiting team member and increases the odds of reciprocity from their new leadership position. When Mr. Cooper decided he'd rather work for the city of Sandy and leave Ogden in a lurch, this legislative body took the measure of Mr. Cooper's team's capacity and skills and sadly found them wanting. And I say sadly because I'm sure they would have welcomed the opportunity to grow.
Excuse me, Mrs. Castillo, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is the public hearing to talk about the water shortage. So we're going to, we can allow to finish your statements because you already spent 2 minutes, but that will take your time for the public comment if that's okay with you. So you have
I
one.
totally understand, and I apologize.
That's okay. Well, I had a hard time figuring out where this was leading to. I thought it was going to lead to the water shortage because there was a lot of leadership, but I missed it. So if you take 1 minute to finish your comments, and then that'll be part of your 3 minutes for public comments. But I'm sorry to cut you off. My apologies.
That's okay. I am sorry.
Go ahead. You have 1 minute left.
Okay, thank you. When Mr. Cooper decided he'd rather work for the city of Sandy and leave Ogden in a lurch, this legislative body took the measure and found the team lacking, not for their want. By appointing Mr. Cooper, who clearly did not embody any practice of the previously stated qualities of a good leader, you're appointing somebody who can't build a team bench. You're appointing someone who doesn't eat, sleep, and breathe Ogden. In fact, he doesn't even live here. And I want someone in charge of Ogden's economic development who eats, sleeps, and breathes Ogden. Someone so invested in her, so burning with the desire to serve her, they can't simply throw up their hands and go to another city without leaving her in capable, loving, and inspired hands. Department heads are leaders with the responsibility for succession, and I ask you to put Ogden's economic development well-being first and not appoint Mr. Cooper, but bring in a consultant to evaluate the department, train what's lacking, build a succession pipeline for a thoughtful, sustainable economic development for our great city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Castillo. Appreciate that. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else? Brandon? Okay. And just a reminder, this is to talk about this public hearing to talk about the water shortage presentation that was just presented by Brady Hurd. So if your comments are not about the water shortage, you'll have to wait until the end of our meeting during public comment. So if you would like to talk about this subject, please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Jeff Montague, and I live in Ogden. And I just wanted to say I support the water efficient park strips program that's been proposed, which would give people, $3 back for ripping up and changing their parking strip to more water efficient landscaping. Just because I think that'd give people, especially lower income residents, the opportunity to maintain some good landscaping on their property that's water efficient and make that more accessible to them to be able to afford that. And I just also was curious where that kind of sits in the pipeline of if that's coming down or when that's being decided on, if that water efficient park strips program is going to go forward. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? That's it? Okay. Any comments from the council?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing on this item.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Hyer to close the public hearing and a second by Councilmember Blair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Public hearing is closed. Any comments from the council about this matter?
I
I don't know if we want to answer any of the questions or address any of those.
We have one question, and we can make comments, and then I'll pass the questions over to the administration.
I was just going to see if Councilmember wanted to address the flip the strip. I think he understands it as well.
Well, I certainly don't have any control over it at this point, but the Planning Commission had a work session on that 2 weeks ago tomorrow, reviewed many of the ordinances, and maybe Greg is better to tell you about that, but the Planning Commission will be reviewing it in tomorrow night's meeting. Those of you who are interested in viewing that and weighing in, it's going to be late, so after 7, I think is what I saw on the agenda, and probably after 8 is my bet, but there is where the ordinance will be tweaked and drafted, and then the transmittal will go from the administration to us. They've promised to expedite that our way, and so then the council gets to review it and vote and hopefully pass that. I don't think there's a big risk of it not passing, but so that it will apply to our residents. There is an educational component to this. It starts at UtahWaterSavers.com. There's an educational component that you'll have to kind of go through. You also have to have a pre-inspection and a post-inspection that will be part of that too. So don't get ahead of yourself if you're trying to collect the incentive, because there'll need to be that inspection ahead of this. So I don't know if there's anything else that.
Any other comments from council members? Okay, we had a question, Mayor, about city properties and sod, that grass that was being watered, and anything else you'd like to add on the issue, please?
That was at BDO, and we'll certainly look into that. That's not necessarily a city property, but that was part of the dust mitigation and some of the other things that came up that we've been talking about over the last number of months. We tried to get it in early, let it kind of have a chance to drop roots and solidify some things out there. We're worried about the dust in Marriott, Slaterville, and some of the residents that have had concerns about that. And that was on the list long before Brady instituted some of these measures. And so we'll keep a close eye on that, and we'll work with BDO to be very thoughtful and careful about what goes in out there.
Thanks, Mayor.
I just have a real quick comment that UtahSavers.com.
Water Savers.
Or Water Savers, is that what it's called? Sorry. Does not work. Every time I tried to go on it this weekend, it wasn't working. So
I have no control over that.
maybe
We're tasking you with following up on that matter, Councilman Chesky.
Yeah.
or maybe.
Was it on our webpage or was it?
No, it's the one through, it goes through Weaver Basin. So maybe.
Yeah, I'll follow up on it.
Thank you.
If you try to keep going through it.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments from council members, or are we ready for a motion?
Chair, I would like to make a motion that we adopt proposed resolution 2022-7.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Heyer to adopt proposed resolution 2022-7 and a second by Councilmember Blair. And this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez.
Aye.
Chair Nadolski.
Aye.
That passes. And now we would like a motion for the next item.
Chair, I'd make the motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2022-19.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Chaburka to adopt proposed ordinance 2022-19. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez.
Aye, that passes.
Chair Nadolski.
Sorry.
Still passes.
I'm so sorry. That still passes unanimously. My apologies, my dear colleague, Chair. Don't yell at me after the meeting. All right. Well, thank you for this presentation and for the votes. I really appreciate it. We move on to from the Planning Commission. We have Greg Montgomery Welcome.
Yeah, it's working to me.
Good evening, council members.
Do you want to correct anything I said?
No way.
Okay.
No, you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we will hopefully have the ordinance recommended tomorrow night and then forward it on
Great.
for your
Thank
action.
you. Appreciate your diligence.
When you see all the stuff in there, you'll wonder about, do I really want to read all this? So tonight, what we're looking at is something that has come about because, if you will, the last 2 years have been very different in terms of development. And it's pointed out to us some flaws we have in our ordinance that we need to look at making revisions to. And that is on expiration. Why communities have expiration dates on development basically has to deal with vesting. At what point when ordinances changes is something that's vested still allowed to build under old laws? At what time has it drawn on too long that there really is no intent to develop, and just keeping something vested has no benefit? It doesn't help upgrade the community. And so every ordinance always has some type of time frame that your approval expires if you haven't started work on that. In our development codes, our subdivision, land development, variances, historic preservation, all those different titles, they all have time limits of an approval, that if you haven't pulled a building permit within a certain time frame, that building permit expires. What we've seen is through this process over these last few years, and I've already just talked about that, so we'll just move on. The last few years, we have in our ordinances different time frames of when that expires and different situations. And it made us start to look at, why do we have different time frames? Why do we have time frames that start at different time periods? And what can we do to make that simpler and easier and for both city and developers? Because what we end up is confusion and frustration when a time frame ends and someone thinks, well, I still have this time, because they thought it started at a different time. So we thought it'd be important to meet with the different boards and commissions, find out their concerns. They've seen a lot of things come back to them only because they've expired. And the same project has to come back, they have to go through the notices, have to go through the reports, because of all these different time frames. You can see some of the various approval processes, and those begin at different time frames. Some begin at the time of first correction report, some begin at planning commission actions, some begin when the body makes an approval, and they all have different time frames of expiration, from 6 months to a year, and extensions to take place. So what we're proposing is to create a uniform time frame, that the beginning date begins when you submit a complete application. The expiration date is 18 months after that complete application. Now, 18 months is longer than any of those periods I showed you before, of 6 months to a year. But we feel that 18 months is needed because what we've seen happen in the development community is, once they get an approved plan, then they start working on their financing, and that is taking much longer. Or then sometimes we see that projects are shifted over to a new developer, who then has to get on track to start again, and he doesn't have all the benefits the previous developer had. So in order to help make this work better, we're looking at those two criteria being revised. Same starting date as complete application submittal, same expiration date, 18 months after that submittal, in order to see development move forward. We have built into the ordinance that there could be another 6-month extension if there's some unusual circumstance. But with this, we feel it'll help streamline both the development process and keeping track of things for both the city and developers, because it's all the same process now and not different time frames. So the Planning Commission is recommending it to you by a 5-0 vote to make these amendments to the subdivision, the landmarks, and the zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Greg, any questions for Greg?
Yes, Chair.
Go ahead.
This will be applicable to projects that start from this point going forward? It will
Correct.
be retroactive? Or?
No, this point forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. We are to accept public input on this item as well. So if any of the chambers here would like to speak about this topic, you're welcome to come to the podium and let us know what you think. And if not, we'll see if anybody online would like to make comments about this topic. Brandon? Nobody online? Okay. We have nobody online either, and nobody here present that would like to comment on this, so we'll move on. Yes.
Motion to adopt proposed ordinance? Or are we?
Yes, we are ready for a motion. Yes.
Motion to adopt proposed ordinance 2022-20.
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Councilmember Ricci, second by Councilmember Choberca to adopt proposed resolution 2022-20. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Rich. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair. Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez.
Aye.
Chair Nadolski.
Aye.
That passes.
Vice Chair, just real quick.
Yes.
One quick comment. You know, a lot of times people think we don't do things efficiently in government, but I appreciate you really working at trying to make things efficient for the permitting folks, and so thank you.
And predictable. That's
Predictable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Any other comments from council members? Okay, so we'll move on to report from the administration. Caldwell is going to present on the proposed fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. Thank you for being here. Welcome, Mr. Mayor Caldwell.
Thank you very much, Council. And if I could have just one point of executive privilege, could we have all the employees of Ogden City stand up really quick and get recognized?
Wow.
And can you give them
Let's give them a hand. Let's give them a hand.
Shelby, you're welcome to stand too.
This is ceremonial. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I did that because this is an entirely different budget presentation than we've had in prior years. And we do not do anything without the men and women that represent us here in the city. And so what I'm going to focus on for this budget session that we're going to submit to you this year is it's all about our people. It's all about our staff. I had the honor of being the president of the Utah League of Cities and Towns last year, and this was a topic across every single community along the Wasatch Front. What do we do to take care of our employees, and how can we keep and retain them? And I'm going to go into a little bit of why that is a priority here. So this year's presentation is absolutely focused on the employees. And over the coming weeks, our directors will present the specifics of their department budgets, and there will be plenty of opportunities to dive into budget details. This is the why, those people that just stood up behind us right now. That is the why. While we're talking about our employees with the upcoming budget and proposal, we have heard several moving stories and words of gratitude. One individual shared that as we talked about this and our department directors went into their departments and mentioned what was going on and what we have all collectively tried to work so hard to do, they said they had a $400 increase in their rent this year, and they didn't know what they were going to do. And this proposed budget and the COLA that we're going to present here in a minute brought them a tremendous amount of security and a sense of loyalty, and we thought that that was really important. So we took a bunch of pictures. As I mentioned, this is our priority this year. And for those that are online and listening in the room, we have a 200-page line item budget that will be put online at 10 a.m. in the morning tomorrow. So if people are interested in the line item pieces of that, they can pull that up. But tonight, it's all about our people. So as we go through the revenue forecast and compensation proposal, you'll see our proposed changes, the revenue projection. We had amazing sales tax revenue. something that 3 years ago when COVID hit, we completely peeled back. We did not know what to expect, so we were very conservative going into that. We have some business owners that are in here that felt the same amount of panic and everything else, but we came out of that stronger than most. One point of note on that, there was a report that came out that said Ogden City is one of only 3 mid-major cities in the entire United States of America that had a net job increase during that time period. And that's a testament to leadership and economic development in this community and how they come together. And I think that's a pretty amazing thing to hang your hat on. The tax proposal to fund employee compensation increase, there will be a tax range increase to capture approximately $2.8 million to cover this. As you see, the compensation increase proposal, we have 13% for our general employees, 14% for sworn fire employees, 8% for sworn police employees. As you know, they were corrected in November. So as we've gone through the Evergreen study and everything else, we've tried to phase that in as we could and as our budget allowed, and this budget will reflect that. Budget comparison, you look at the list you have in front of you now. You have the council adopted, the mayor budget, and the change in that budget. And again, this will be, all the line items for that will be available tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We have been very fortunate in Ogden City to be able to fund this type of an increase and to talk about what we're doing and to fund different programs that a lot of other communities are not in the position to be able to do. And I will credit that to our amazing financial staff and the people that have worked really hard to put this together over the last 2 years. It's a huge credit to them. So there are some increases there. The redevelopment agency, we have some things that are expiring. And one is the flagship area, which as a lot of you will know is the distribution center we had at BDO for Amer Sports. And without that RDA, they would not have come. They were looking at Reno and a lot of other areas. And so we've appreciated your support and the counties and the school district's support to put that together. We had some major changes. The general fund revenue area. 2023 revenue outlook, we attempted to, in fiscal year 20, we attempted to pivot for COVID impacts. As I mentioned, we tried to be very conservative about that. We wanted to make sure we weren't pushing people out. We were able to pay our bills and do everything that is required to do that. We're in a great position and we're optimistic about its sales tax budget over fiscal year 22. Even with some uncertainty in the economy, I think everybody's read that there may potentially be a looming recession. There are some economists that say Utah on the Wasatch Front is far better positioned than most to weather that. We hope those predictions are accurate. 2023 sales tax has grown by more than 15%. In fiscal year 21, we were estimated it would grow around 20%. Recognizing those increases already seen still results in a reasonable estimate for sales tax revenue. That's a conservative estimate, and we'll continue to be conservative as we put those predictions out, not knowing what's going to come next. Property tax, the fiscal year 23 budget includes new growth estimates and $2.8 million in a potential property tax increase. Business licenses and permits, this increase is due to increased volume of work in the past couple of years. And that's a good place for us to be. I can remember when I came 10 years ago, we had very little building going on in the downtown, and that's changed entirely due to the work of our economic development department and some of the things that we've seen in the economy. The city has allowed the property tax rate to decline the past 3 years. I think this is an important thing to talk about. Truth in taxation makes that really difficult. Had we been able to keep the rate level over those 3 years instead of taking 3 full years of declines and reductions in property tax, we would have realized $4.5 million and change in additional revenue to the city. So I think it's important that we continue to have some of these truth in taxation hearings and that we educate the community in what that means and the impact to the overall general line. When we're looking at an 8.5% inflation rate and some other things, I think these are critical conversations to have with the community so people understand exactly what that means and how we address that moving forward so that we can continue to pay these great men and women that we have behind us. I mentioned allowing the tax rate to decrease. You can look through some of those numbers. Average cost of the saving to citizens is $141.73, but there's a lot that goes on in terms of missed services and a cutback on services that we want to have conversations about as we move forward. A lot of communities, the first year we did our truth in taxation hearing, we hadn't had one in 28 years. And that same year we had 56 different municipalities that realized that's not sustainable. We cannot manage a community, a city, inflation, and take care of services if we don't have conversations with our citizens and everybody else about how important it is to just look at it, address it, have the conversation, and to talk about it. This is what our purchasing power has done. We are consistent increases to small increases to property tax allows the city to respond to inflationary increases. I remember when the mayor of Salt Lake County left a number of years ago, they hadn't had a property tax increase in a long time as well, and he proposed 138% property tax increase. That is not sustainable. When you're talking about tying it, keeping it level or keeping it to a CPI or something else, people understand that, 1.8%, 3.5%, 5% in these times is probably a reasonable expectation. And so it's important that we talk about the purchasing power we have now versus what we had in 1988 when truth in taxation came into its current law. Again, our employees are the heartbeat of our city. The transition of impact to employees has been our top priority for years to take care of our employees. As I mentioned, we went through the Evergreen study. We've gone through 3 phases to get that to come current. We're also going to do a data refresh on that to make sure that we're not the highest level. We want to be about average with the other cities along the Wasatch Front, recognizing that these people work harder, take more calls, have more calls for service and everything else than just about any other city along the Wasatch Front. So their loyalty has been shown, proven, and we can't appreciate them enough for their loyalty in staying with us in the city. And I think it's on us to come back and to take care of them. I think it's important to talk about the impact of employee turnover. We'll get into that a little bit deeper, but when you look at the specialized jobs we have in the city, it is a really unique place to be. You can look through that after losing an employee. There's a decrease in employee morale for a bunch of different reasons. It wrecks the chemistry a little bit. A lot of that workload will go on to other employees that are skilled. And that can lead to burnout and frustration, other things. As the remaining employees get overwhelmed with more work to help make up the difference, their stress levels rise, making them far less likely to perform at their best and to provide the service to the citizens that we're here to do. That's why they've all come to the city. That's why they're here. It's what they do. They want to perform service for the citizens and be there when they need them. And if you're totally stressed out all the time, your service level drops tremendously. I think, as I mentioned, a combination of these factors can cause employee burnout and work fatigue. And during the recruitment and training phase, decreased productivity because you're spending time training employees, not doing the job that's in front of you, increases in a loss of service to our citizens and an increase in general risk. Current fiscal year-to-date turnover citywide for full-time employees is 11.76%. As I mentioned, as president of the league, I found that to be actually a little bit lower than a lot of the other cities along the Wasatch Front, so we're doing a fair job there. I can say for the administration office, my employee turnover rate was 25%. I was a little disappointed in that, but we only have 4 employees in the administration, so one chose to go somewhere else, and that totally skewed our average compared to every other department. We had 76 full-time employees that left Ogden since July 1st, 2021. On average, it takes 8 to 12 weeks to replace a knowledge worker and then 6 months to a year before the replacement gets to a full productivity mode. Public safety takes a lot more than a year for an employee to be producing at expected levels. The cost of replacing an individual employee can range from 1.5 to 2 times the employee's annual salary, and that's a very conservative estimate. We've talked about this in the past. A police department average cost to train a new employee is approximately $85,000 to $90,000. Public services to train a new entry-level employee is $62,000. Management services cost to train an employee is about $62,000 and change. And the fire department's average cost to train a new employee is approximately $70,000. If we're constantly trying to recruit and train and bring people in, those are unaccounted for costs in our budget and in our department directors' budgets to bring people up to speed on that. And I think that's something that needs to be very seriously considered, and it's something we've talked a lot about in all of our budget meetings and with our department directors. Keeping well-trained and capable people here is absolutely critical for what we do. We thought this was an interesting quote. This comes from the Institute of Public Sector Employee Engagement. You can read it, but only a relative small portion of public sector employees are office workers who can operate remotely. Most employees in the public sector in fields like public safety, firefighting, emergency services, public works, healthcare, transit, and public education can't phone or video in. In local government, these occupations typically account for the majority of the workforce, and competition for this talent is intensifying. For example, Waste Management Incorporated, a public company that can do some of these things, is now offering college scholarships to the family members of its 36,000 full-time employees. That is a big bill that local governments absolutely can't compete with. So we're not just competing with other cities along the Wasatch Front, we're competing with the private industry, and perks like that are really difficult to come up with public dollars. So that's part of what we're competing with. So our recommendation in terms of proposed increases to employees, the general full-time employee, a 13% COLA. Pay tables minimum and maximum would shift by 13%, so the ranges would all move, and full-time employees would receive this increase. Sworn fire, who was not taken care of last year, have been waiting for a long time. That's a 14% COLA. Pay tables minimum and maximum would shift by 14%. All full-time sworn fire personnel would receive this increase and be eligible for the next step on their anniversary date. And sworn police, to get them back up to where we think they need to be and to the average, would be a 8% COLA. Those pay tables minimum and maximum would shift by 8%. All full-time sworn police personnel would receive this increase and be eligible for the next step on their anniversary date. Again, this is our number one priority in this budget cycle, taking care of our employees. Couple things we've heard, and you'll have an opportunity to talk with all the department directors. This is just a small sampling of what they heard when they did their budget reviews for their teams and everything else. I will be able to stop working my second job and spend more quality time with my family. That's a 17-year firefighter that has had a second job for all 17 of those years, extremely loyal to Ogden City. Wow. I'm in shock over the proposed COLA. This is truly unheard of in the city. So grateful, so very thankful. This really shows that employees are the top priority, and they are. And that's why we chose not to bring any of the other highlights, even though we could have a laundry list of some of the amazing accomplishments that have happened over the course of this year. It's all about the staff this year. And so as you get a chance to meet with all these department directors and ask questions, I hope that they give you a chance to tease some of that other information out, because there was an overwhelming positive response, and they really do appreciate what has gone into this and the work that has been put into taking care of them. There are things we can do culturally. We try to work on that. We talk all the time about that. But when you're in this kind of an environment, we do need to at least be at the median level for to match some of the other cities that are around. And a lot of them can give some stories about planners and other people going different places for a great deal more money and a great deal less work. And so we want them to know that they're our number one priority, and this is was our whole budget focus through the whole retreat and everything else. And so we appreciate them all being here. That's why I asked them to stand and be recognized, because
they're the people that get all of the work done. So again, thank you to the talented and dedicated staff of our city. You guys are the ones that make it all work. As I mentioned, by 10 a.m. tomorrow, this presentation, along with a 200-page tentative budget book and line item budgets, are available online. Additionally, you all have 8 work sessions planned to review the details of this budget between city staff and our directors between now and June 21st. In those work sessions packets, and a lot of additional detail will be provided. And then I would be absolutely remiss if I did not thank Lisa, Justin, Leslie, Heather, Mara, and Mark for all the work that's gone into this. This is a different year, a different environment. They have worked tirelessly on this, and I want to thank you all for the work that you've put into this. Can we at least give them a quick round of applause? And with that, have I prioritized our budget view this year? And I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Right, you have 8 more sessions. Great. So as I've always said, it's a pleasure to get this off of my plate and onto yours.
Great job, Mayor. When we don't have questions, I think that just speaks to the wonderful work and the great presentation. Covered just about everything. So we really appreciate it, and we look forward to the process and the arduous work to interact with your administration and ask the tough questions in the work session. So thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. You bet. So just a reminder that this vote is not on the final budget. This vote is on the proposed budget, and we're going to have a series of work sessions, as has been mentioned already. We're going to have a public hearing on the tentative budget on June 7th, and then we're going to have a public hearing on the final budget either in June or a truth in taxation hearing on August 2nd. So with that, do we have a motion?
Yes, Chair, I'll make a motion that we accept for review the mayor's proposed fiscal year 2022-2023 budget for review.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Blair to accept the proposed budget for 2022-2023. And this is a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you that came to hear the presentation and to show your support. We really appreciate your hard work. Next on the agenda, we have unfinished business presentation by Mr. Ross Watkins.
Thanks, employees, for being here.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
I work till 8 p.m. Yeah.
Good evening.
I thought everyone was here for this communications plan. This is exciting. It's okay. I understand. So you'll remember on April 19th, we discussed the development. Well, we discussed a rezone around the development at the old Wings Guards property. This is at 120 Washington. There are a few small properties, the First Street right-of-way, and a couple of backyards along Adams Avenue that are proposed to be rezoned from R16 to C3. This item was extended due to some concerns about not having enough information. I can pause for a minute if you want me to.
No, you're fine. They're talking. You're good.
Okay.
They like each other out there.
Yeah. Sorry.
They're trying to catch all of your presentation on their way out. They are really here for
good
this
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this item was extended because the council wanted to get a little bit more information about the development project. And the development project isn't what this item is. This item is about 0.8, I think it's 0.84 of an acre of a rezone around the Wings Guards property. And they will eventually become part of that development. and the council expressed some interest to get a little bit more information about what was going to happen with the development and why they wanted the rezone to be part of the development. So there are some meetings going on right now between the administration and the developer, Mike Bastian. Those are moving forward, and I was able to attend one of those last week, and it sounds like there may be some negotiations moving forward. Either way, my purpose in being in front of you now is to let you know that this item is still currently extended and will stay extended as long as you wish it to be extended. It can also just be placed on an agenda at any time, the earliest being the 17th of this month. Just a little bit more of your information, we have seen what the plans look like for the property, and this probably isn't the right setting for me to go over what those plans are going to look like. Councilmember Heyer can give you more information about that if you'd like to know what the development is going to look like. And I think that's all that I have. Are there any questions for me about this this rezone and right-of-way vacation request and the extended item?
Thank you so much, Ross.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
No questions. Good job. All right. Now we are on to public comment, and I would like
Can
to
we talk about this one for just a minute? I think
Sure. Oh,
there
absolutely.
is some
Please go ahead.
resolution we need to
Go ahead,
to
please.
kind of make all the parties are at the table to talk about the development that's happening at the old Wings Guard site. It was very positive, the meeting that happened last Thursday or Friday. I lose track of my days. And there's more meetings scheduled. And so with all of those things going on, it seems it doesn't seem like there's any need to continue to extend this. And I would, and I'm not sure exactly what the motion would be to get it back on an agenda. So I'm open to that.
I think it's just a request to leadership to place it on an agenda.
Okay, well, that would be what I would propose then, is that the leadership get it back on that agenda for the 17th.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments? Okay. All right. So we will now move to public comments, and I'd like to make a reminder that after that we're going to have a closed session meeting, and then we're going to come back with another item, which is reports from the administration on the appointment of Community Economic Development Director, consideration for the appointment of Brandon Cooper. So if anybody would like to make comments regarding that item, that should happen now during this public comment window, because we will not be taking public comments when we come back after the closed meeting. So please keep that in mind. And if anybody is ready, well, you're welcome to come up and limit your comment, say your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And this is your chance on any topic, remember, for right now. Comments on any topic. Thank you. Please state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
My name is Nate Harbertson. I'm a business owner and property owner in Ogden City. And I'm here to speak to you regarding the mayor's recommendation of the appointment of Brandon Cooper to the Economic Development Community Director position. First, I want to thank the mayor for making the recommendation. I appreciate Mark and all of the council members, your time on this. I just want to state, as a business owner in Ogden, Utah, and a property owner, and that I really, really appreciate all the effort that Brandon Cooper has done in the city. And I think it's extremely important for him to remain in this position, or to grow in this position. I've been doing business in Ogden City for over 25 years. I have multiple different businesses. I am a developer in town, and fortunately, I've had the opportunity to work with Brandon Cooper and, all of the employees that work with him. And it's just been such a pleasant experience. I have multiple partners, clients, customers that speak extremely highly of him. And, working in other cities across the state, that's not always the case. I've never had, they've always had success with him. And it's just extremely important. Working in your city for 25 years, I've worked with the predecessors of Brandon. I've seen what they've done. And, just over the last 10 years, while he has been in economic development, I have seen growth like no other in the city. And that is due to the department, it's due to the administration, it's due to the management. And I'm giving, and the council. I know you guys work tireless hours, and meeting with the Economic Development Department all the time. I just want to state, having known all those predecessors, or lots of them for many years, I want to say that he knows his job in economic development as fluently as any director that I've seen. He's trained for this job. He's ready for this job. It would be a waste of community resources and city resources not to appoint him to this position and move forward with the phenomenal economic development that's happened in our city. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Harvison. Appreciate it.
Hi again, Kim Bouchard, Ogden City resident and business owner. I'm here to speak. This is a big meeting tonight. I raced here from the airport. I got back in town and I stopped at Lucky Stripes, grabbed a piece of pizza, ate it out in the hallway, came in late. Mercedes has gone to school with my son since she was 3 years old. She's amazing, and there's just so much hope in that. Steve Van Wagner gave Mike a run for his money a couple of years ago for mayor. I'm really glad that he put his passion into Ogden soccer, because we worked really well on the 25th Street together, and he is a very unique and amazing human. Water, enough said, huge, right? And so with regards to the budget, I'm so glad to hear Mayor Caldwell make that presentation. I have been really reflective lately because, as we all know, staffing's crazy, all of that, pandemic, all of that. And we have always really, wanted to take care of our employees. But I went to this presentation. The Utah Office of Tourism was here for a conference, and we had this guy, Clint Pulver, and I suggest that you look up this book. It's called I Love It Here. And we read it as a management team of all of my restaurants, and kind of chapter by chapter, every couple months or every, meeting that we'd have, we go through a little bit more. And it just means so much. And so I love it when people say, I love it here. And that was clearly a display of that. And you're putting your resources in the right thing. And all of those statistics, those are all real. And we are part of something special here. Something special has been created by leadership, by all of those employees. I definitely want to speak to the economic development director position. I was kind of adding it up, and I think between just my Ogden businesses, I think we have 60 years of operations. That's a lot of employees over the years that come back with kids that were bussers when they were 14 or whatever. And to see the momentum that has happened these last probably 12 years is what I would give it, 10 or 12 years. It's unbelievable to me. And the energy and the people that are invested in their city, and Brandon knows what he's doing, and he was mentored under Tom. His team supports him. And Brandon and I have worked closely, and sometimes we've sparred over the years, and none of us are perfect. I think maybe all of us have that in our different relationships, but he cares, and we have a lot going on out there, and he knows what he's doing. He mentored under the best. I have so much respect for Tom Christopoulos and the rest of the team that he's groomed. And I strongly support your decision. I don't even know what it's called. Anyway, thank you. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Kim. Anyone else from the chambers that would like to come up? Thank you. Please state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Kim Bouchard. I'm the executive director of the Ogden Downtown Alliance, and I live just up the street in a project that Brandon facilitated with Tom. So I got 3 minutes, and I'm gonna try really hard. I'm so stoked to have the kids, the youth council present. We have several of those kids have participated with the Ogden Downtown Alliance ODA in youth initiatives that we're taking on. To see Steve Van Wagner come and present, my husband is a coach with him. Both my kids play in that league, and with those, everything that they've said, I have to give a huge amount of kudos to Steve and to that organization. I think it's the most widely representative of our community at every game, at the coaching and the kids level. And I'm super excited. We're going to have them be a part of Farmers Market every single week of Farmers Market season through the Alliance this year, to help us with some of our diversity initiatives that we've talked to council about as well. And I know that sounds like pin dots all over, but I think it's really important that we've used this word synergy a lot this year, whether you've been to the Ogden Downtown Alliance's presentation of our strategic plan or council's presentations and updates on their strategic plans and admin and all of that, and several of the open houses surrounding the Make Ogden plan. There's a lot that's happening, and that's not an accident that those kids are represented at ODA, or that our downtown master plan matches up with the city's council and city admin's master plans as well. Those are things that have taken years to bring that level of synergy together within the community, and to stand in a meeting like this and say, like, those dots connect is remarkable. I think it's an incredible opportunity to be able to come together as a community and witness that and feel it together. But I also think that energy has brought a lot more visibility, and anytime there's more visibility, there's a lot of room for criticism. And so I think that it's really easy to say, like, things are moving fast and there's no consideration, because there's very little understanding of the 10, 15 years and countless meetings and hours that go into everything. I think it's really easy to hop on social media and leave comments that are grossly negative, but don't show up to dig in and bring your shovel to the hard work of everything. And so I'm here to support Brandon in that position, but more so to maintain the momentum and connected community building and community development that we have all been working on together, whether that's through separate nonprofits, your council and administration together. But it would be a shame to lose that. I feel very strongly. So thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kim. Really appreciate it. All right. Anyone else would like to come up and address the council? Speak. This is your opportunity to speak on any topic that you would like. Hello, please state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Okay, Kerry Wayne. Again, I'm back to see you again. I wanted to mention a couple things. I was involved with AYSO years ago for soccer. I think it's one of the greatest things for kids that could ever happen. I fully encourage the city to support them. They did not support AYSO like they should have back in the Meekum years and also the Godfrey years. They missed a real opportunity there. I encourage you to do that. I'd also like to validate that they are watering it, BDO, and Boyer is doing nothing to control the dust. I got a nice big dust storm last night. Again, we need you to act. I thought we had an agreement that was going to happen last Friday. Didn't happen. So I need to know what's going on. I checked with Bill Morris. He said there's an open invitation from Mayor Van Leeuwen. Can't heard from you. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do to solve this problem? Because it's property owner to property owner, and we need to do something. It's not Boyer. It's you. We need to have Ogden City step it up and do something to correct this problem. We have been 15 months of bare dust across the street, and it comes in like I said, my front windows are opaque because of the fact I can't keep the dirt off them. I mean, it's the dust. I mean, everybody over there has respiratory problems. They came and begged you 2 weeks ago, do something. And I don't know what we do. If you're not going to answer the mail, if you're not going to follow through on what you promise, then what are we going to do? You're leaving us, it's no way to treat people. It's really not. And I mean, I expect better of you. I really do. And I've told you that before. I think you're good people. I really do. And I think in your heart of hearts, you've got to realize that what you're doing to the neighbors across the street is wrong. It's wrong and it needs to be corrected. And it needs to have some follow through. If you say you're going to meet with the neighbors, meet with the neighbors. If you say you're going to meet with Mayor Van Leeuwen, meet with Mayor Van Leeuwen. Do something so that we don't have to keep coming back here and pestering you. Like I said, I'm spending more time as an Ogden City resident right now as you are, because I'm here every Tuesday begging you to do something, okay? And I don't think it's right. Like I said, you talk to my neighbors, why they're not here is because they break into tears, honestly. They cannot take it because they feel like they've been violated, like nobody else. And this is your opportunity to step up and show the best of Ogden. Show that you care, show that you're willing to do what's right. So again, I hope the words haven't fallen on deaf ears. One thing I'd like to say about your RDA, if the pool's polluted, you need to add chlorine, not more water. I go back to the Sadler development back when Nature Center was at risk. That was something that didn't get resolved and people knew about what was going on. Thank you much.
Thank you, Kerry. We appreciate it. Anyone else would like to address council? This is your time to speak on any topic. Please say your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Seconds here. Heath Sato, Ogden resident. First off, I want to thank Councilmember New Guy for calling me right after I emailed you all. I appreciate the open dialogue. Thank you, Councilmember Ritchie. So you know that expression about drunk drivers, when they get caught, it almost certainly wasn't their first time or their last. I feel that adage applies to more than just DUIs. The Director of Community and Economic Development may well be the second most powerful position in our city after the CAO. You are considering Mr. Cooper for a position that will oversee and direct hundreds of millions of dollars of deals within our city at a time of massive growth. I feel it's important for me to reiterate why I recommend a vote of no tonight or table it for further discussion. In a public meeting a while back, Mr. Cooper stood in front of you all to recommend approval of a deal with the developer for an RDA property, the Brown Ice Cream Building. Mr. Cooper told you that 1, the broker was working for the city. He was not. He was working for the developer. 2, the building was 5,800 square feet. False. It was twice that size. 3, the building was listed on LoopNet, MLS, etc. Also false. Also false. The opportunity was never listed. 4, only one developer had shown interest in the property. That is true. They were the only developer made aware of this opportunity. You made your decision to use that developer based upon information that you trusted to be fully accurate and properly vetted. At the time, I spoke to 3 local, fully qualified developers who told me that opportunities like this are rare and that they would have loved the opportunity to share their vision for the property and would have paid at least 6 times as much for it. We'll never know now. I understand the RDA may sell a building to a developer for just $1 if they have a very good reason that is expressed on public record. I understand that. But the RDA is not allowed to sell a building to a developer for well below market value as a favor to someone. Amazingly, the developer allowed that deal to expire. The administration and Mr. Cooper were then informed of interest by other developers, but instead of considering possibly better opportunities for our city, almost a year later, we all learned that the administration silently signed the original deal with that original developer without even telling the RDA. You were shown no respect in that regard. And that was after property prices had exploded here. We all learned about this months later by accident. Mr. Cooper told me directly that none of what happened was illegal, and if it's not illegal, then it's not wrong. I reject that belief, and I hope most of you do. I do not believe any of this was mere incompetence. I am convinced Mr. Cooper is too intelligent to make such amateur mistakes. I even suspect the order to slide this through came from higher up than his office, but obeying orders to deceive you in order to do favors for friends is exactly what erodes the people's trust in their government. And it's likely not the first time or the last, just the one time they got caught. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sato. Anyone else that would like to address the council? This is your chance to do that. How about anyone online, Brandon? No hands raised online? Okay. All right. Well, seeing no more movement, I would like to entertain a motion to move into a closed executive session. But before we do that, let me make a quick announcement. Once we move into a closed executive session, anyone who is online who wishes to come back when we come back out from the executive session for our last item for the proposed appointment for Mr. Cooper, you need to sign out of Zoom now, because if you don't, you're going to get kicked out and you won't be able to get back on. Okay, so if you're online, if you're on Zoom, you'd like to be back here at the dais with us after our closed executive session, please sign out so that you can come back in. With that, I'll entertain a motion to move into a closed executive session.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we adjourn into a closed executive session for one of the 7 items listed.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer to adjourn into a closed executive session, and a second by Councilmember White. And this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez.
Aye.
Chair Nadolski.
Aye.
That passes. Thank you. We will adjourn, and then we will come back in a little while to the dais. Can you hear me? Can I be heard? But I can hear me like I usually can hear me. What's going on?
Am I on?
My light's on.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. Welcome back to our city council meeting. Our final item before public comment is a report from the administration. We have Mayor Caldwell next, please, Mayor.
Sure. What we have listed is the appointment of Community and Economic Development Director, and as we've talked about, I'm putting Brandon Cooper forward for your consideration of that position, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or anything else that you'd like. I'm proud of the work that he's done. I think he's got an amazing track record here, and we're happy he's willing to accept that and continue that great work.
Thank you, Mayor. Questions or comments from council members? Okay. No questions or comments. So do we have a motion?
Everybody looks at me. Okay. Chair, I would be happy to make the motion to considering the appointment of Community and Economic Development Director to give advice and consent, a positive advice and consent to Brandon Cooper to serve in that role.
Second.
Whoa. Whoa. Who was
Somebody
first?
Ken.
You.
No, Ken.
Okay.
I think Ken beat her by just a
By a
little.
second?
Okay.
I beat her by a second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Ricci for the appointment of Community and Economic Development Director Brandon Cooper. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez,
Aye.
Chair Nadolski,
No.
Okay, that passes. Councilmember Nadolski, would you like to explain your vote since you're the only one? No?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
I'm actually anxious to explain because, as I explained to Brandon previously, my vote is not a reflection of him or his expertise or his credentials for the position. I think that Ogden needs Brandon to come back to stay here, I should say, to finish the work that remains unfinished. I just have real concerns about the circumstances that led to tonight with why a contract of this nature is needed. I don't like the precedence that sets for the other directors, the unfairness, I should say, to the other directors. I think there's a real management challenge as above Brandon, and I think that's part of why he has demanded the terms of the contract that he did. I have not pressed Brandon to say that. I might not be right, but I'm just saying that if I were Brandon, I would have concerns as well, and I would probably press for a similar contract for myself and for my family too, because I think there are real issues that need to be addressed above Brandon that we've all confronted for a long time, and it has made things really difficult in these chambers and in the halls of this building. So, Brandon, my vote of no was not a vote against you. I think it's a vote against the circumstances that have been presented to us tonight that are above and beyond you. And I think that I've just grown increasingly frustrated with those circumstances. And I just feel like it's really important that I say what I've said and share my conscience the way that I have. I'm not doing so in an emotional manner. I'm just speaking my conscience in the way that I feel is really important to me. So I appreciate the council's support in allowing me to do that. And I also appreciate how hard some of the other council members have thought and reflected on the circumstances that led to tonight. I know that some things have been frustrating, but I really appreciate the heartfelt passion and purpose that you guys all put into your vote tonight. And I look forward to seeing Brandon continue to do good things for Ogden. I know that we've all received a pretty overwhelming amount of feedback in support of Brandon tonight. And we've also received some input opposed to Brandon. And I think I heard one of my peers say, no one's perfect, none of us are. And I wouldn't expect that of him either. And so I really appreciated the grace in which he has accepted that imperfection. And I hope that he equals his grace with passion and fortitude in amending those imperfections that have been applied to our others. So anyway, I think I've said enough. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Nadolski. I appreciate your comments. Comments from the mayor?
Just an offer of congratulations. You've done a great job here. Thank you for all your hard work, and we look forward to that continuing. It's well deserved.
Comments from the council?
Just congratulations to Brandon. Look forward to getting to know you better over as we work together on things, and excited for what lays in store for Ogden.
Sure, I will. Yeah. I too would like to offer my congratulations. I was thinking of a experience when I very first got on the council. I can't remember what field trip Brandon took us on. We went to go see something, and I'm sure it was amazing, but I can't remember what it was. But we were coming up the stairs to come back, and one of the other council members was talking to you talking to Brandon as we were going up the stairs, and you talked about why you love being here, why you loved Ogden, and the unique set of challenges that doing economic development in Ogden provides. And I didn't really understand those nuances at that time, but that was kind of my first eye-opening to the challenges that face Ogden and its economic development strategies. And I remember when we walked in the council room, that other council member kind of leaned over and said, she pointed at you and said, "We're lucky to have him." And I didn't really know you then, but it made me really watch you and kind of monitor how you handled everything. And I just want to say it's been 12 years now, and I can honestly say I wholeheartedly agree with that. We and this city are truly lucky to have you, and I appreciate your willingness. Not only your willingness to be here, but your vision for what Ogden is and can become, and your willingness to take us along with you to achieve that is truly inspiring, and I'm thankful for that and for your work to do that. So I appreciate that, and I, unlike others on this council, I also have a mother that serves on the school board, and when she first had one of her first meetings, she said, "Some guy from the economic development came and gave this presentation." And I said, "Oh yeah, that's Tom." And she said, "Oh, he was really great. He talked about everything and he answered all our questions." And not that I didn't think Tom would do that, but I kind of started to think maybe it wasn't Tom. And then she said, "He's bald." And I thought, okay. And then I knew exactly. But she just fell in love with you that day also. So, and I think she, along with many other residents, and when we heard and we've received numerous emails, but I think your ability to reach out to our residents and to our city, our city, and explain the vision and explain what we can become, and how we get there, truly has made this city better. So I appreciate your effort. Like I said, I appreciate everything that you've done, not only to help us, but to carry us along with you and along that path. So I wish you all the success, and if I can help in any way, please, I'm happy to do so.
Just to follow up, I think one of the things that we forget is that economic development in our city is a revenue generating department where all of the other departments are not. And so without good economic development and without a good foundation, we have and we would continue to struggle. And so I have seen what you've done and think that continuing to grow our city with revenues in order for us to do the things that we need, that a lot of us up here want us to do with the social services and the services and giving good services and being able to mow our lawns and pick up our garbage and those kind of things. And so I really appreciate that you have been able to bring a balance to the city. And I look forward to seeing how we do going forward. So thanks.
Okay, if I go now?
Absolutely.
Well, I think I've already said this, but I just want to congratulate you on this role, and I'm really excited to see how sort of the evolution of what might happen with the vision and the department, et cetera. And I think that, I've said this before too, but I find it just not appropriate to have people make personal comments about you that I don't think are fair in the role that you play in our community, just like when it becomes personal in other places. And we certainly don't always agree on every single thing that's happening, but we've had really great conversations, and I feel like that can only improve over time, and I appreciate those efforts. So that's all. But congratulations.
Okay.
You don't have to.
I know I don't have to. I
don't want to be accused of.
I've gotten to really like Brandon over the years. When I was a new council member, and you would come and you'd present all this stuff and this. I don't know if you remember, but I caught you out in the hall and I says, why aren't you working in private development? Because, you've got some skill sets that you can make a ton of money. I was afraid to say that. I didn't want to give you an idea that maybe you hadn't thought of before. But you do have a unique skill set. And as I've grown to understand this a little bit better, you are a really good fit for Ogden because, as you said on our meeting the other day, you are the RDA man. And Ogden, where we fight ourselves, is in redevelopment. We're so built out that we're doing a lot of redevelopment, and you know that, and you understand that, and I know that in that world things move a little bit fast, and you gotta kind of do things as they come along. I don't understand. I couldn't do it, but I appreciate you being here. I'm very happy that we have been able to come to this appointment. I guess the situation isn't perfect, as Chair Nadolski has kind of pointed out. I hope that rancor can be healed and put aside. I know that you have a maturity that you can do that. I mean, you couldn't be in the job you are in if you had a real thin skin. And most my dad used to tell me, he says, feedback is a gift. It's always a gift. It may hurt your feelings, but it's always a gift. And we all need to take negative feedback and put a positive spin on, not a spin on it, but apply it to where it benefits. And you do that. And I salute you. I congratulate you for your new appointment. I really look forward to many more years of you working for Ogden. Thank you for your service and continuing to go forward.
Councilmember Nadolski, any last comments? Okay.
Sure. I'll just add that, Brandon, you have my support moving forward. I had my opportunity to vote, and that's what I did. And I also have my opportunity moving forward to express my opinion in my vote, and I'm confident that you'll have my support moving forward, because on a personal level, you've always made the effort to make it right with me, and that counts a lot with me. And I've shared that with you before, but I want to share it with you here so that people know that we cannot expect perfection of you nor of anyone. We're all with fault and error. But I just felt like I needed to do what I did tonight, and I hope you forgive me of that. I know that you will. But I also think people in Ogden need to understand that we have a duty in our role to do what we individually think is right for Ogden, and that what comes about this process for Ogden is what happens from our collective votes and conscience. And so we took our vote, we expressed our opinions, and moving forward, you are our Director of Community and Economic Development. And I wholeheartedly congratulate you in that, and support you moving forward, because I support Ogden. I support the work that we're doing, and I support the creativity that you continue to bring to the table for Ogden. And so thank you for your passion for this community, and thank you for your grace in trying hard to rectify wrongs as we all grow, just as you have. So congratulations, Brandon Cooper.
This job is so freaking hard, I think. I was asked when I was running for office, why are you doing this, by a lot of people. And I've heard that the three most hated jobs are politicians, car salesmen, and lawyers. That's what people have told me. So I'm going to close with this passage that is going to take me 1 minute to read, probably less than some of the comments. So don't hate me because I'm reading. But I just find it fitting, and I find it inspiring, and it's a passage that we've all heard in the past that says, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who has the best knowns in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least, if he or she fails, should be right for the appropriate times. If he or she fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never known victory nor defeat. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you to my council colleagues. Thank you to the administration. I am very proud to be an Ogdenite. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Blair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Have a good night.